Discover the amazing secret a sick little girl revealed to a mechanic after 10 heartwarming steps. As the leaves turned golden and drifted from their branches, Jake leaned over a battered engine, his hands grease-stained and knuckles scraped. The once bustling garage now echoed with the ghostly silence of lost customers, each bill on the table piling higher, threatening to bury him alive. Jake felt the weight of responsibility like a lead block on his chest. How would he provide for his two little ones when the world around him seemed intent on shutting him down? From the next-door trailer, little Lily watched through the dusty window, her bright eyes shining with wonder. With her frail frame and a crown of tangled hair, she looked every bit the picture of innocence. But there was a spark in her gaze when she caught sight of Jake working on the rusty old cars. It reminded him of better times, times when laughter and hope weren't weighed down by worry. One sunny afternoon, after a particularly long day of toil, he noticed Lilia's face pressed to the glass, her mouth agape. "Can I help?" she called out, her voice like a melody that brightened his dreary world. Unable to resist, he set aside the wrench and smiled. "You want to learn about engines?" A nod from her was like sunshine breaking through clouds. They spent that evening tinkering with toy cars, Jake showing her how to pretend fix what she called speedy machines. Her contagious laughter filled the garage like music, and for a moment, Jake's worries fell away. As the days passed, they baked brownies together, their hands covered in flour and chocolate. The smell wafted through the garage, drawing in curious neighbors, who would soon gather outside to share a slice, a simple act of community that Jake and Lily unknowingly created. Each laugh, each shared moment filled him with a joy he thought had faded. But with every touch, his heart grew heavy again, burdened by the looming threat of losing his father's legacy. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One afternoon, in a quiet moment filled with the sweet aroma of their baking, Lily turned and whispered, "You know, my dad says you can't measure success with money. He says it's all about what you give to others." Her words pierced through Jake like a ray of light. He realized the true richness lay in the smiles he had brought to others, not in blinking dollar signs or fading receipts, but fate had a cruel twist in store. As he wrestled with his feelings about selling the shop, Jake learned of Lilia's condition and illness that threatened her spirit. But against all odds, she faced each day with laughter and wisdom that left him questioning what success truly meant. Standing against the tides of adversity, Jake found himself at a crossroads. The path before him flickered with hope and uncertainty, each shadowy whisper of judgment from people in town tightening around him. Could he fight back, redefine his dreams, and transform not just his life, but the heart of his community? As he looked out across the quiet town and saw Lily's little face of hope, the question loomed large in his heart: would he dare to take the leap, or would fear keep him shackled to the past? A chill breeze swept through the garage, mingling with the sweet scent of the baking brownies. Jake glanced at Lily, her small frame perched on a stool, flour dust clinging to her hair like confetti. He felt the warmth of her laughter seep into his bones, but it didn't quite dispel the shadow brewing in the corners of his mind. Every laugh momentarily chased his worries away, yet the looming dread of his predicament still weighed heavily on him. What if we made a sign? Lily's bright voice broke into his thoughts. We could get people to come and fix things for their cars here instead of going to those big places. Her eyes sparkled with genuine excitement, and for a moment, Jake could only smile at her boundless optimism. "That's a fantastic idea, kiddo," he replied, his heart swelling with pride. "We could set up a fix-it day right here. People could bring their old cars, and we'd teach them how to do basic repairs. It could be fun." But as the words sank in, doubt crept back. What if no one showed? What if it all fell flat like so many of his previous attempts to revitalize the garage? But at that moment, Lilia's joy was infectious. Her eyes gleamed with a certainty that made Jake feel like the world might just bend to meet his dreams, if only he could make the leap. They set to work planning out Fix-It Day, scrawling ideas onto a piece of construction paper. The color and shape spilled from Lilia's imagination, brightening the dullness of the shop like a rainbow in the storm of that evening. As the last rays of the sun painted the sky a brilliant orange, Jake stepped outside. He took a deep breath, the crisp air filling his lungs, and felt a spark of courage ignite within him. They could do this. They could invite the town in and remind each other of the joy in tinkering, building, and creating. He imagined a line of smiling faces, children's laughter joining their hammers and wrenches. It made him momentarily forget his financial worries and the impending darkness he planned to fight the next day. Jake hung the bright, hand-painted sign out front, his heart racing with anticipation and fear. Fix It Day. This Saturday. It proclaimed in bold letters, adorned with playful drawings of cars and tools. As he stepped back to admire their work, a few neighbors walked by, pausing to read. "Hey, that looks great, Jake." One called out, a hint of curiosity in her voice. "Yeah, it's fun. Can we come?" Another chimed in, nudging their child who waved enthusiastically. Jake's heart skipped. Could it be? Had he ignited a spark in his town just by reaching out? The realization filled him with hope, and he realized he wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was igniting a reason for community, for connection. That evening, as he sat with Lily, the air was electric. They had plans, dreams, and a glimpse of a future where they could turn the tide. But the gnawing worry about Lily's health lingered beneath the surface like a storm, threatening to undo all their progress. The clock ticked urgently in the background as Jake contemplated the upcoming Fix It Day. What if this was the last chance he had to foster hope, not just for himself, but for Lily? Would he take that leap, not just for his family but to uplift a girl who had already shown him what true success really was? Just then, his phone buzzed on the table, breaking his thoughts. It was a message from the clinic. Jake felt his heart race, a mix of dread and anticipation. What news could this hold? Was hope on the horizon, or was it slipping away? Jake's hands trembled as he picked up his phone. The message icon glowed like a beacon. He swallowed hard, every second stretching into eternity while he debated whether to open it. What if it was bad news? What if the storm that hung over them was about to break? With a deep breath, he tapped the screen. A simple text appeared. "Hi Jake, it's Dr. Miller. When you have a moment, could you call us? We'd like to discuss Lily's test results." His heart sank. Why couldn't they just send the results? Why did it have to be a phone call? Waves of anxiety crashed over him. He glanced at Lily, still blissfully unaware as she sprinkled powdered sugar over their brownie creations, a smile lighting up her face. He wanted to shield her from every worry in the world, but with each second passing, the weight of his responsibility hung heavier. "Everything okay, Dad?" Lily asked, her voice brimming with innocent curiosity. "Yeah, sweet pea. Just need to make a quick call," he stammered, forcing a smile that felt out of reach. He stepped away, the insistent buzz of the phone pressing in on him. Jake took a deep breath, paced the garage a little. His thoughts spiraled. What if this news changed everything? What if he wouldn't be able to fix things anymore, either with the garage or with his little girl? Finally, he dialed the clinic, his finger hovering over the call button like it carried the weight of the world. Dr. Miller's office, a cheerful voice chirped from the other end. Hi. This is Jake Green. I got a message about my daughter, Lily. Just a moment, please." The line clicked and buzzed before the doctor's warm voice filled the silence. "Jake, thanks for calling back. I wanted to discuss Lily's test results with you." Jake's heart raced. Is there something wrong? Is it serious? No, Dr. Miller assured. "We just found a few things we want to explore further, but there is no immediate cause for alarm. However, I think it'd be best if you and Lily came in for some follow-up tests. Just routine stuff, you see. A follow-up to ensure everything is clear." Relief washed over him, but it was quickly clouded with the fog of uncertainty. "So, it might not be bad?" "It's too soon to say, Jake, but we want to be thorough, just to ensure her health moving forward. Please bring her in when you can." "Thank you, Dr. Miller." As Jake hung up, he stood in the garage, absorbing the news. It wasn't the worst, but the least he had expected. He had hoped for solid optimism, yet there remained a lingering unease. Stepping back into the room, he was struck by the image of Lily, completely absorbed in her own world. She was so full of life, laughter, and creativity. It hurt his heart to think of anything threatening that. "What do you think, kiddo? You ready for Fix-It Day?" he asked, forcing enthusiasm into his tone. "Of course, Dad. I can't wait." She beamed, her smile brighter than 1,000 suns that night. As they wrapped up their evening, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the follow-up tests would bring clarity, but also more questions. It was as if he was standing at the edge of an ocean of uncertainty, waiting for a tide that could bring either hope or despair. With Lily nestled in bed, he found himself once more in the garage, looking at the sign they made together. It needed more than just a few encouraging words, it needed a lifeline, a sense of purpose that could steer their futures. Tomorrow was Fix-It Day, yes, but their little venture into community could be more than just helpful repairs. Could it play a role in alleviating all these swirling emotions? Was he strong enough to reach out, to ask for support from neighbors, friends, for himself and for Lily? As he looked at his reflection in the shiny surface of the tool chest, he felt a flicker of resolve ignite within him. Maybe this is where change starts. But then his phone buzzed again, the bright screen illuminating his face in the dim garage light. It was another message from Dr. Miller. Jake's pulse quickened. What now? As he hesitated once more, a ripple of anxiety crossed his mind, mingling with the spark of hope he'd felt just moments ago. Jake took a deep breath and glanced at the bright screen lighting up his garage. The doctor's name brought with it an unfurling tension in his chest. He hit the button. "Dr. Miller?" he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Jake, it's good to hear from you again," the doctor replied, but her tone was tinged with something heavier. "I'll just get right to the point. We need to schedule an appointment for a more comprehensive evaluation. I believe it's essential we address a couple of findings. I think it might be something we can manage, but we should act quickly." Jake's heart began pounding. "Can I bring Lily?" "Yes, of course. But I do recommend discussing this with her after we know more," Dr. Miller said gently. "We want to ensure she isn't burdened with worries right now." "Right, okay. Just let me know when." "Tomorrow morning?" "Ideally, after 10 a.m. she suggested, and Jake heard the rustle of papers on her end. "I'll make a note to have the team prepared for her arrival." He nodded even though she couldn't see him. "That sounds good. Thanks." As he hung up, it hit him like a tidal wave. Tomorrow. Tomorrow would be a day filled with uncertainty. He sank onto the nearest stool, cradling his head in his hands. Everything he'd been holding together felt like it might just burst apart. The thought of Lily worrying caused a warmth in his chest that morphed into pressure, threatening to crush him. The sweet sound of laughter danced in from the kitchen where Lily was finishing up her creations. She paused in her chores, appearing in the doorway. "Dad? You okay?" He looked up, forcing a smile that had begun to feel harder and harder to muster. "Yeah, sweetheart. Just learned a little more about our Fix-It Day," he said, distracting himself with thoughts of the upcoming community project. "Can we bring cupcakes?" she asked eagerly. "You know, to make it special?" "Cupcakes sound perfect." And they did. They could sprinkle a little more sweetness into this uncertain mix of emotions bubbling between them. The following morning came too quickly, leaving Jake with little time to prepare himself. The sun barely filtered through the blinds when he finally coaxed Lily out of bed. Her sleepy eyes shimmered with the residue of sweet dreams, and all he could do was hope she wouldn't see his own fears reflected back at her. As they arrived at the clinic, Jake squeezed her little hand tightly in his, swallowing the lump in his throat. The waiting room buzzed with the hum of conversations and the clicks of phones. Lily tugged on his hand, pulling him toward the toy corner, and for a fleeting moment, he let himself be distracted by her giggles. "Look, Dad! A giant teddy bear!" she exclaimed, pointing excitedly. "Maybe we can win that bear for you after the appointment," he tried to joke, but the weight behind his words was unmistakable. Soon, a nurse called them back. "Lily Green?" His heart raced as they walked through the halls, each step echoing uncertainty. They entered the examination room, where bright posters of happy children adorned the walls. Jake settled on a chair, still holding onto Lilia's small hand, which was warm and comforting. "Daddy?" Her voice cut through the tension. "What's going to happen?" Jake wanted to tell her everything would be all right. But how could he promise that when he didn't know himself? "They just want to take a closer look at how you're doing, kiddo," he said, his voice steady but hollow. Before he could say any more, Dr. Miller entered, and the mood shifted. She wore a kind smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. Jake forced himself to focus, to listen. Lily sat wide-eyed, glancing between the adults with an innocence that made his heart ache. "Hi, Lily. How are you feeling today?" The doctor started, trying to keep the tone light. "Good. Ready to help Dad fix things?" she said, beaming with her usual enthusiasm, unaware of the storm brewing in the shadows. Jake watched, his heart heavy, wishing he could share the burden of this moment with her. Dr. Miller continued talking, but words floated around him like stray leaves, dimmed by worry and fear. He had to ask what lay ahead, but as he looked at his daughter, he hesitated. Would she be ready for what was coming? And just as the doctor opened her mouth to speak, the phone on the desk buzzed again. Jake felt his heart skip. Was it another message? He leaned forward, breath catching in his throat. What could it possibly be that could shift this day from darkness into light? Would change finally come? As the room filled with a tantalizing silence, Jake's fingers clenched tightly, hoping that, somehow, everything would turn out okay. Jake held his breath as the phone continued its persistent buzzing. Dr. Miller glanced at the screen, a flicker of concern passing across her face before she turned her attention back to them. "Just a moment," she said before answering, her voice taking on a professional tone. "Dr. Miller," she said, her eyes darting from Jake to the office area outside. "Yes, I'll review them shortly, okay, thank you." She ended the call and looked at Jake. "Sorry about that, just routine updates." He nodded, but his mind raced. Routine? Nothing about today felt routine. "Lily, let us get started," Dr. Miller said, pulling out a chart. "I'd like to start with a few questions to understand how you've been feeling." Lily bounced in her chair, her carefree nature shining through. "I'm really good. I can run super fast, and I'm learning to ride my bike without training wheels." "Wow, that's great to hear. You're becoming a big girl," the doctor encouraged, smiling. But Jake noticed the subtle grimace that crossed her face, worrisome enough to suggest this wasn't just a routine checkup. As Dr. Miller continued, Jake's mind wandered. He couldn't keep the question at bay any longer. "What exactly are we looking for, Dr. Miller?" She paused, eyes softening. "Jake, I need to know how Lily is feeling in a comprehensive way. Sometimes, concerns can be subtle, and we need to dig deeper. It's important to do so now." Fear coiling tighter in his chest, Jake squeezed Lily's hand. Her laughter from moments ago faded, replaced by an uneasy stillness. "But why now? She seems fine." "Sometimes symptoms aren't obvious." "We need to make sure everything is okay," she replied gently. "I wish I could promise, but we'll take this one step at a time." Lily, oblivious to the growing tension, began to recount her latest adventures, her little voice breaking through the fog of Jake's worries. But he couldn't focus. He noticed the way the doctor scribbled notes, her brow furrowing, uncertainty etching itself deeper into the lines of her face. Could it really be something? Jake's thoughts spiraled. Then, in a moment that felt surreal, a small voice echoed around the room. "Daddy?" Lily asked, breaking his reverie. "What is it, honey?" His heart softened at her innocent expression. I think I might like to beat that teddy bear in a game later." "Do you think I could?" "I really want it." Jake's heart ached, marveling at the simple innocence that enveloped her. "Of course," he whispered, forcing as much reassurance into his tone as possible. Doctor Miller glanced at her, her demeanor shifting slightly. "Lily, why don't we start with a quick examination? Nothing too scary, I promise. Just a few checks to see how strong you are." With that, the doctor approached, and Jake's heart raced again. Each movement of the doctor's hands felt like an unraveling thread. Just stay close, sweetheart. I'm right here, he said, not reassured but needing to be strong for his daughter. Lily nodded, excitement returning as she shifted in her seat. Moments passed as tests were conducted, and the doctor examined Lily's reflexes. Every tick of the clock grew heavier, ringing in his ears when suddenly, a striking realization emerged. A warmth, almost different than before, settled in his chest. The doctor paused. Lily, can you tell me if anything feels different lately? His stomach sank. Was there something she wasn't sharing? Lily frowned, her small fingers playing with a loose strand of her hair. I don't think so, or maybe a little. I had a really big dream with sparkles and rainbows last night. Jake stared at her. The innocence of a child spun his heart until it twisted within him. Lily, listen. Dreams can be magical, and you are. Really? Her wide eyes brightened. Absolutely, he affirmed, the warmth swelling. You're my little star. Dr. Miller smiled softly, but her gaze was distant, troubled. Let us keep watching, shall we? Jake dared to look at her face, searching for reassurance. Then it hit him. What if she's having more than just dreams? What could we learn? Lily, Dr. Miller began again, gentle and calm, how are you? Feeling in your body? Maybe there is something else you want to share, something that only you might know? Before the words fully formed, Lily's eyes lit up with understanding. What if I told you I could feel the sparkles? She exclaimed, a hint of excitement in her voice. Jake's heart skipped again. The sparkles? Lily nodded. Like they are all around me. Dr. Miller and Jake exchanged looks, both waiting, breaths hanging in the air. What had Lily stumbled upon this time, this bright little girl? Jake thought maybe this was the turning point. Maybe she felt something that could shift the tide, and just then, the phone on the desk buzzed again, shattering the silence. A flicker of hope, or were those merely his wishes echoing? Was the real connection about to unfold? Would they unlock a secret they never even knew existed? Jake felt the room pulse with a mix of tension and anticipation. The doctor's phone buzzed again, but this time, it was barely a whisper against the enchanting energy that surrounded Lily. Sparkles, he murmured, as if testing the word on his tongue. Dr. Miller leaned closer to Lily, intrigued. What do you mean by sparkles, sweetheart? Can you see them? Lily nodded enthusiastically, her dark eyes twinkling with fervor. Yes. They dance around me during fun times, like when I'm playing or laughing. They make everything feel happier. Jake's heart raced with an odd mixture of joy and concern. Was this just a childless vivid imagination or something more significant? Suddenly, every dream he brushed off as silly felt like a message waiting to be deciphered. Can you show us what they look like? He prodded, eager to understand this mysterious world of Lily's. Lily clasped her hands together in excitement. I can. She jumped from her chair, her small frame brimming with life. I'll dance like they dance. In an instant, she was twirling, arms flaring out like ribbons, laughter spilling out like music. Jake felt his worries melt away momentarily, watching his daughter radiate pure joy. Dr. Miller's serious demeanor softened, her pen resting momentarily against her notes as she took in the spectacle. The doctor turned to Jake, her voice a gentle murmur. Children often have unique ways of expressing feelings. Let us not dismiss this. It could be her way of telling us something deeper is happening inside her. Jake searched her eyes, grasping for clarity. You think it means something serious? Possibly. But we also have to understand this in the context of her health. It may be a coping mechanism or an inherent creativity that is blossoming, she replied carefully. His mind churned. Could this be a glimpse into something troubling he'd never considered? Lily, do the sparkles ever feel bad or make you sad? Dr. Miller pressed gently, watching the little girl find her rhythm. Lily paused mid-twirl, a shadow flickering across her face. Sometimes, when I can't catch them. Her small voice lowered, sounding suddenly fragile. Jake's heart plummeted. What do you mean, honey? They don't always want to play with me. They go away when I feel alone, she said, her bright energy waning. Lily, you're never alone, I'm right here with you," Jake urged, stepping closer to her, reaching for her delicate hands. "We'll catch them together, okay?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Okay, Daddy." The air thickened with unspoken words. Jake exchanged glances with Dr. Miller, the anxiety mounting. The sparkles had quickly become something heavy, a representation of what might lie beneath the surface of his vibrant daughter. Dr. Miller broke the mounting silence. "Jake, let us proceed with some more targeted assessments to understand the emotional and physical aspects of these feelings." A small knot of worry formed in Jake's stomach. How can we get her to express more? The dreams with the sparkles, what can they mean? "We'll have to explore it all together," Dr. Miller replied, her brow marked with determination. "But it may also help if you encourage her to talk about what she feels and experiences during those times." Nodding, he focused on Lily, feeling the weight of the moment rest heavily on his shoulders. "Sweetheart, these sparkles, can you think of times when they come or when they go? Talk to me, Lily. We're here to listen." Lily's small fingers wrung together, brows furrowing as she dug into her thoughts. "They like sunshine, they like it when I laugh, but sometimes at night, they don't come." "Why do you think that is?" Dr. Miller asked gently, leaning closer. "Because it's dark. I can't see them," she whispered, eyes looking down, almost as if searching for the invisible magic that slipped through her little fingers. Jake felt something break inside him. Darkness shouldn't touch her, not now, not ever. "Lily, I promise, we will keep talking about this. We'll make sure those sparkles come back," he assured, though uncertainty clutched at his heart. A silence settled. Thick yet reflective, as they all processed Lily's words. She gazed up at Jake, her innocent question hanging between them. "Daddy, will the sparkles stay with me if I tell you more?" The question lingered, and for a moment, the world outside fell away. Jake clung to that hope like a lifeline. What did the future hold? Could they unravel the mystery woven in Lily's heart? The buzzing phone interrupted once more, but Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something profound was about to be revealed. Would they find light in the sparkles before darkness overtook them? The next step loomed like an unsteady bridge. Would they dare to cross it? Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight of that question hanging in the air. "Of course, baby. I'll always be here to listen." He glanced at Dr. Miller. She raised an eyebrow, gently encouraging him to keep the conversation flowing. Jake turned back to Lily, his heart full of both love and worry. "Let us talk about those sparkles, okay? I want to understand." Lily took a moment, her tiny fingers tracing the pattern on her dress as thoughts swirled in her mind. They're like little stars around me when I'm happy." Her face brightened at the thought, but then her expression shifted again. "But when I'm sad or scared, they hide." A sinking feeling settled in Jake's chest. "What makes you sad or scared, honey?" "I don't like when it's dark." She played with the hem of her dress, biting her lip as if the darkness itself had weight. "Sometimes I hear noises. And my heart goes fast." Dr. Miller leaned in. "What kind of noises do you hear?" Lily glanced up at her, eyes wide. "Like whispers. They talk to me, but I can't understand them. They feel mean." Her small voice trembled, and Jake's heart ached at the fear hidden within her words. As the urgency of the moment filled the room, Jake felt his insides twist. "Lily, those whispers can't hurt you. They're just sounds, right? We can figure out ways to make them go away." He grasped her hands tighter, willing strength into her tiny fingers. "I promise, it's okay." The little girl nodded slowly, but shadows still danced in her eyes. Dr. Miller's gaze shifted toward Jake, a knowing look passing between them. "Maybe we could explore some activities that help with her imagination," she suggested. Drawing or storytelling might encourage her to express her feelings more freely. "Like a story about the sparkles?" Jake blinked, the idea taking root. "You could draw pictures of them, Lily. Show us what they look like." Her face lit up at the suggestion. "Can I do that?" "Absolutely." He cheered, the enthusiasm pushing through his own worries.
And when you're ready, you can tell a story about them. That might help us understand.
Lily clapped her hands and giggled, her voice dancing with excitement.
I love stories. The sparkles can be brave and fight the darkness.
Jake smiled, feeling a flicker of hope ignite within.
Yes, exactly. They can be heroes.
And we can help them come back whenever they're scared.
You just have to remember what makes you happy.
Dr. Miller nodded, her face brightening. Jake, maybe if we focus on turning her feelings into creative expression, it can help her process what she is experiencing.
Lily hopped from her chair again. Can I start now? Of course, sweetheart. Jake said, ready to capture this moment. Grab some paper and colors.
She dashed toward the supplies, her laughter echoing off the walls. As Jake watched her bounce, his chest filled with warmth. In her little world, perhaps the sparkles could fight the darkness, and together they could navigate what lay ahead. Dr. Miller observed Lily, but her expression changed as she turned back to Jake. It's vital that we tread carefully. Creating art may unlock fears, and we'll need to address any unsettling feelings that arise.
Jake nodded, suddenly aware of the delicate balance they were walking. I just want her to feel safe.
He sighed, running a hand through his hair, realizing this journey was just beginning. Lily returned, crayon in hand, already scribbling furiously.
Look, Daddy. They're colorful.
Jake leaned over her shoulder, marveling at the vibrant shapes blooming on the paper.
They're beautiful, Lily. I can see their magic. For a moment, everything felt right.
But deep down, he couldn't shake the uneasiness writhing inside him.
What if the sparkles weren't just fragments of joy but a reflection of the struggles she faced during those dark, lonely nights? Just as he was lost in thought, his phone buzzed again, the screen lighting up with an unknown number. A chill ran down his spine, something told him this wasn't just a regular call. Did it hold the answer to their fears, or lead them deeper into the shadows? Jake stared at the phone, the buzzing reverberating within the stillness of the room. He swallowed hard, torn between the warmth radiating from Lily's artwork and the chill of uncertainty creeping in. The colors on the page were so vibrant, yet the unknown caller felt like a dark cloud looming over them. Everything okay, Daddy? Lily's voice broke through his reverie, her wide eyes searching his face. Yeah, baby. He forced a smile. Just checking something. His fingers hesitated on the screen. What if it was bad news? What if it was something about Lily, something he wasn't ready to hear? Taking a deep breath, he glanced toward Dr. Miller. Should I? He trailed off. It's up to you, she replied, her voice steady. But remember, we're in this together. Whatever it is, you don't have to face it alone. Jake nodded, reeling in the warmth of her words. He couldn't let fear dictate his actions, especially now when Lily was finally beginning to open up. He pressed the button, answering the call. Hello? His voice came out a bit shaky. Mr. Tobias? This is Jenna from the pediatric department. Jake's heart rate quickened. Yes? We recently received the results from Lily's assessments. I think it's essential we discuss this in person. There are some factors we need to consider regarding her condition. Jake felt a rush of heat. Condition? What condition? Is she okay? She is stable at the moment, but it's better if we talk face to face. Staring at Lily, lost in her world of colors, he couldn't focus on the call. The word condition rang like a bell in his mind. When do you want to meet? Tomorrow morning, if that works for you. Fine. The word escaped his lips almost harshly as his mind spiraled. He hung up, the uneasiness settling in deeper. This wasn't just about sparkles anymore. Daddy? Lily continued to scribble, a frown creasing her brow as she caught his tension. You can tell me if it's bad. He knelt beside her. It's just grown-up stuff, Lily. Like what? She nudged him, her infectious curiosity pulling at the edges of his worry. Well. He hesitated, searching for a way to deflect. I just need to make sure those sparkles stay safe. Her big blue eyes sparkled with understanding. Like superheroes? Exactly. Just like superheroes. Lily smiled, her innocence a balm against his apprehension. She resumed her drawing, filling the page with hues of pink and yellow, her laughter echoing through the small room once more. Dr. Miller leaned in, her voice softer now. Jake, it's possible the conversation tomorrow could lead to solutions. It might help guide Lily into feeling even more secure. He met her gaze, and the knot in his stomach tightened. What if it's something serious? Then you face it together. Because that's what families do. Families. The word settled into Jake's heart, bringing a little light amid the shadows. He took a deep breath, drawing strength from Lily's creativity, from Dr. Miller's support. Sometimes facing the unknown was the only way to truly protect those you loved. Lily threw her arms around him, her tiny hands squeezing tightly. I'm brave, Daddy. Just like the sparkles. He hugged her back, feeling her warmth seep into him. You are, my brave girl. But as powerful as her joy was, doubt still curled around Jake's heart. Something still felt ominous lurking beneath the surface. What if the call tomorrow changed everything they knew? He couldn't shake the thought, and as Lily laughed, he felt the balance teetering once more. The sparkle she cherished and the darkness he feared all began to intertwine. As the sun dipped lower outside the window, a realization washed over him. Sometimes, a journey starts with embracing the unknown. But would they find the answers or lose themselves in shadows? The sun swapped its golden hue for soft shades of twilight, bathing the room in gentle light. Jake stood by the window, peering outside as the last rays of daylight flickered out. The vibrant colors in Lily's drawing seemed to dim too, shadows creeping in where just moments before had danced with life. Daddy! Lily squeaked, pulling him back to her world. She was brandishing her crayon like a sword, eyes sparkling with mischief. Come see my masterpiece. He turned, forcing a smile despite the storm of anxiety brewing within. What have you created, my little artist? She jumped from her chair, trotting over to him with a proud strut. Look! I made a big rainbow castle with sparkles everywhere. Jake knelt down, his heart warming as he glimpsed the chaotic mix of colors exploding across the page. It was wild and imaginative, every crayon stroke a self-declaration of hope. This is amazing, Lily. You're so talented. I want our house to look like that, she beamed, pointing to the sparkling castle. You promise, Daddy? A sparkly house. The thought made Jake's heart ache slightly. One day, maybe. Just like the superheroes and their beautiful worlds. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and he felt himself melting into the moment. As if sensing the heaviness gathering around her dad, Lily switched gears. Can we play a superhero game? You can be a glittery robot. And I'll be Sparkle Princess. Her laugh rang like music, drowning out Jake's fears for a few heartbeats. He was about to join her impromptu adventure when his phone buzzed again, another reminder of the uncertainty waiting just around the corner. Hey, how about we go for a walk instead? He suggested, drying his eyes quickly. Maybe we can find some real-life sparkles outside. Lily clapped her hands, eyes widening. Yes. Let us go. With that, they stepped into the cool evening air, the world outside filling their senses. The trees swayed softly, whispers of secrets brushing against them. Jake noticed the stars beginning to twinkle. He wished he could believe they were a sign of good things to come. As they walked, Jake pointed out the soft glow of the moon hanging high, a beacon in the dark. That's like a big guardian watching over us, isn't it? Lily nodded, her small hand clutching his. Yeah. Just like the sparkles. I think they're in the sky too, Daddy. Jake swallowed hard, reminded again of their conversation at the hospital. They are, sweetheart. Just like you. As if the universe conspired to test his resolve, a couple strolled by with a young child who wore a beaming smile, carefree as she twirled in her colorful dress. A pang tightened in Jake's chest, shadowed his thoughts. Why was this so hard? Why did tragedy feel so close?
Daddy, Lilia's voice cut through the haze of his mind, if I get sparkles tomorrow, I can share them with my friends, right? He squeezed her hand, forcing himself to match her enthusiasm. Of course. Just like a superhero shares her powers. They continued their journey, weaving through the neighborhood, Lilia's chatter filling the gaps in his silence. But when they rounded the corner, the familiar sight of their home loomed larger, an anchor in the storm brewing inside him. Do you think I'll be okay, Daddy? She asked, her voice shrinking as they approached the front door. The question hung heavy in the air, like the weight of his dread compressing against the brightness that was Lily. He could feel the tremors of worry dance through him again, but he needed to shield her from those fears. Listen, we're going to figure this out. Together, like superheroes, right? We have our team. Right. Lily exclaimed, her spirit reignited. He wrapped an arm around her shoulders, sheltering her from shadows he couldn't quite banish. The brief chill of night air pulled in, but Jake held tight, determined to remain her safe harbor. But as their laughter faded into the quiet of the home, he was left standing at the precipice of a long night. Tomorrow, everything could change. Would they find hope, or would the sparkles dim to nothing? The morning sun peeked through the curtains, casting a soft, warm glow through the garage. Jake stood at the window, heart hammering in his chest, eyes focused on the world beyond. Today was fix-it day, and everything hung in the balance. He could feel the energy crackling in the air, a mix of excitement and anxiety swirling like the dust motes dancing in the light. Lily darted around the garage, her laughter ringing out like wind chimes in the breeze, a perfect soundtrack that momentarily drowned out the storm brewing within him. She had stayed up late the night before, feverishly drawing sparkly pictures of superheroes and colorful castles, her vivid creativity illuminating the rather bleak realities he had been grappling with. Daddy! Are we ready? Lily bounded over, her little face glowing with life. Almost, sweet pea, Jake smiled, determination rising within him. Today wasn't just about car repairs, it was about rebuilding something bigger: connection, hope, and community. As neighbors began to arrive, forming a loose crowd outside the garage, Jake felt a knot of tightness unwinding in his chest. They brought tools, laughter, and a sense of belonging that warmed his heart. It felt like a renaissance, as if everyone was coming together to reclaim the joy that had once defined their routines. Look! Everyone's here! Lily squealed, eyes sparkling as she took in the gathering crowd. There was joy radiating from her, and for a moment, Jake found himself resting in that warmth. In no time, the garage transformed into a bustling hive of activity. Neighbors exchanged pleasantries, welcoming each other as they set to work on the cars. Children played in the foreground, echoing Lilia's laughter and chasing the sparkles she had painted in the air. As they worked, Jake found warmth and camaraderie. They were sharing more than just tools, they were sharing stories, laughter, and support. Each swing of the wrench felt lighter, the burdens he had carried for so long beginning to dissipate, like steam rising into the morning light. Hey, Jake! This is a great idea! One neighbor shouted. Yeah! It feels good to come together. Another chimed in, and something sparked in Jake's heart. Maybe Lily was onto something much bigger than either of them had imagined. Lily trotted around, offering cookies and brownies, her energy boundless. Her kindness was contagious, people walked with smiles on their faces, sharing more than just food. They shared encouragement, understanding, and hope. Every exchanged word seemed to mend the fractures in the community that had long been ignored. Halfway through the day, a voice called out from the crowd. Hey, Jake! It was Dr. Miller. Got a minute? Jake's heart skipped. Sure, Doc. Everything all right? She gave him a gentle smile, but her eyes held concern. I just wanted to check in. How is Lily? A shadow flickered over his heart. She's good. Busy helping out and laughing. Good. I'm glad to hear that, she replied, a reassuring warmth flooding her expression. About yesterday's call. Jake braced himself, but before he could respond, Lily rushed over. Look, Doctor. I made cookies. She wagged her finger at the treats, beaming. Doctor. Miller knelt down, her serious demeanor melting away as she accepted a small cupcake. Thank you, Lily. How beautiful they are.
You know how to spark happiness. Like magic. Lily shouted, her eyes wide with joy. Jake caught Dr. Miller's eye and realized there was something she'll share.
Jake, she said, turning serious, do remember that we can explore options and solutions as they come. But it's important for everyone to understand that phone call yesterday didn't alarm me as much as to keep Lily on our radar.
Understood, Jake nodded. It's good to have you looking out for her. With a shared look of understanding, Dr. Miller walked away, leaving behind a lingering reassurance that made Jake feel a glimmer of hope. As the sun began to arch low in the sky, Jake looked at the scene around him. Laughter filled the air, and for the first time in what felt like ages, the shadows flickering in his mind began to fade. The community that gathered felt restored, just like the cars they mended, as friendships were rekindled under the warmth of an afternoon well spent. He looked over at Lily, who was now surrounded by kids, each one laughing and sparkly-eyed, trading stories of pretend worlds and wild adventures. It struck him then this was success. This moment of joy was worth more than any money he thought he'd lost. Dad, come help. Lily called, pulling him out of his thoughts. On my way. He answered, running toward them with renewed energy. As he knelt down, he felt a sense of belonging wrap around him. Lily's laughter echoed, breaking through the darkness. They would navigate this adventure together, just like the superheroes they had imagined, overcoming whatever life threw their way. In that moment, everything felt possible. And through it all, Jake realized he wouldn't just be fighting for survival anymore, he would be building a life full of love, laughter, and connection. His heart swelled with pride watching his daughter shine brightly among the gathered community, the sparkles of hope whispering through them. Tomorrow's challenges would come, but they would face them together. The garage, once a place of despair, had turned into a vibrant symbol of community, bringing life back into his world. As laughter echoed all around him, Jake couldn't help but feel that the sparkles would always find their way back into their lives, as long as they faced the dark together. And so, dear friends, the journey doesn't have to end here. Join us on this incredible ride of transformation, resilience, and hope. You need to subscribe now to catch every exclusive story that can inspire you and lift your spirits. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this heartwarming energy flowing. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let's share what it means to us all. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need this message today. Let us spread the sparkles of hope and joy. Don't wait not even one more second to share this transformation. Together, we can build a brighter future.